my message to the community is to pass on our condolences and know that the investigators behind me and we as an organisation are doing everything to make sure that the best case is put forward before the court, and we'll let the court process play out. And after that, we begin the healing process in that community.
That's New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb at today's press conference. And joining me now with the latest news is nightly reporter Remy Varga. Remy, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Ben.
Okay, so you were at the conference today. What was the mood like?
The mood was sombre. A lot of the journalists in the room actually knew Jessie Baird from media circles in Sydney. There was also a sense of, I would describe as grim relief that they'd found the bodies and that they could give the families, that certainty, as devastating as it must have been delivering that news. They could at least tell them that they'd found where Luke and Jessie were.
Yeah, I think grim relief is the perfect way to describe the look on the police face today at the press conference. Let's take a listen to one of the officers that had been working the case around the clock.
I am exhausted. I barely eat nor sleep. We went home last night extremely deflated, but it's not in our nature to give up.
Now, Remy, can you tell us exactly where and how New South Wales Police found the bodies?
Beau Lamarre-Condon told investigators where the bodies were after he obtained legal counsel. Investigators visited him this morning at Silverwater Prison. They then went back to a property in Bungonia where they had been searching on Monday and found the bodies about 20 minutes away from the original search site. The bodies were found in surfboard bags that were used to transport the bodies of Baird and Davies from their home in Paddington in the back of a white Toyota van before they were taken to the property. The police today at the presser said that the surfboard bags had been found covered in debris.
You can't even imagine what the parents and family and friends of these victims must be going through. The police commissioner spoke a little bit to that and said that she'd spoken to the families. Let's take a listen to what Karen Webb had to say.
Very relieved because of the families. I've spoken to both families. They've arrived from interstate. They've been waiting for news, and each day, each hour was, an agonising wait. So I'm relieved for the families.
Now, Remy, the New South Wales Police have been under fire for their handling of this case, especially Commissioner Karen Webb for her response rates in fronting the public initially and then some of the language she's used. How did she respond to those criticisms today at the press conference?
Look, she defended herself, but she was a bit softer today. She's still currently in talks with the Board of Mardi Gras, and, it may result that officers are allowed to march at the parade on Saturday. But to be honest, most of the press conference concerned the discovery of the bodies.
And she spoke about how she defined this case because she'd been really criticised for calling it a crime of passion, and she gave us a bit more of a, I guess, update on a more appropriate way to describe this.
Commissioner Webb essentially apologised for using the phrase crime of passion, and said what she meant more was that it was a matter of domestic violence, but her main point was that it wasn't a hate crime. And so what she was trying to say there is that Lamarre-Condon didn't allegedly kill Baird and Davies because they were gay.
Yeah, which I think is probably a more accurate, appropriate way to describe the alleged crime. And now there's been a lot of talk about what will happen with Mardi Gras, which is just around the corner in Sydney, where the police will be allowed to take part. That came up at the press conference today. What did Karen Webb have to say?
So it's still to be determined what, if any, police involvement will be had at this year's Mardi Gras parade. So last night, the Mardi Gras board issued a statement saying they had withdrawn their invitation to police to march in the parade. Karen Webb said that this morning she'd met with members of the board and was talking to them about, what, if anything, police officers will do, whether they'll march or whether they'll march in black. You know, and then she said there's still a few days to work out what is actually going to happen on Saturday.
And we know that this story will continue to unfold throughout the week and in the weeks to come as it goes before the courts. A reporter at The Nightly, Remy Varga, thanks for joining us on The Nightly 5 and giving us this update.
Thanks, Ben.